So, ladies and gentlemen, see if you can answer this trivia question. Who are the only four players to have scored more than 100 points in their first three NHL seasons? Okay, the first two should be obvious. Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux. So, if you really think back to the early 80s, Peter Stastny. Okay, who's number four? I bet you couldn't answer. Mike Rogers. Now, Michael R. Rogers, born in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, October 24th, 1954, is definitely one of the most underrated snipers and scorers of his era. Now, he played 5 seasons in the WHA, followed by 7 successful seasons in NHL. He was drafted by both the Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers in the 1974 entry drafts for both sides after 3 strong seasons with the Calgary Centennials of the WCHL. Now, over those 3 years, he put up 57, 112, and 140 points. Best campaign was 74. We had 140 points in 66 games, including 67 goals and 29 points in 14 playoff matches. Now, he was taken 77 overall by the Canucks and 48 overall by the Oilers in 74. But he eventually decided to sign with, of all teams in New England, the Edmonton Oilers, for 2 years. Vancouver was very packed on offense that year, so he decided to have a better break. Now, his first season with Edmonton was one of the best rookie campaigns in WHA history, where he had 83 points in 78 games, including 35 goals. Now, not the biggest player on the ice at 5'9", 170. He was basically very active on the power play, very active on the defense, and when he had an opportunity to score, he did it. Now, what happened, Edmonton was unloading contract in the 76 season, decided to trade him to the Whalers, and he became part of Hartford's legacy of the last 3 seasons of the WHA. He put up 82, 71, and 72 points over 3 seasons, averaging 25 to 28 goals a season. But when the NHL came calling, the Whalers became Hartford, and they kept these rights. The first season in the NHL, he put up 105 points, including 44 goals. 81, 105 points in 80 games, including 40 goals. And in 82, when he shifted to New York Rangers, he put up 103 points in 80 games. Now, his next 3 seasons with the Rangers, full seasons, were quite productive. 76, 61, and 64 points. 29, 23, and 26 goals. Now, 86, he found himself all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. He played with New Haven of the HL for 20 games, New York of Rangers for 9 games, the Nova Scotia Oilers for 33 games, and he found himself back with Edmonton for 8 games in 86 for a grand total of 67 games that year, 26 total goals, 46 assists for 71 points. Didn't play in a playoff game that year. And he wrapped up his career with HM Ambry Piotta of the NDA Association in Europe. Now, the decision by Rogers to retire is because he felt outside of hockey he could still give back. And he was a color commentator for the Calgary Flames on Calgary radio stations for 12 years before his renouncing retirement on July 25th, 2013. So, and also a strong representative for Team Canada. He played with Team Canada 81 World Championships with 1 assist in 6 games. Now, Rogers' style of play can be best described as interpretive. He played with Blaine Stoughton and the great Hartford teams of the early 80s. With the Rangers, they had a whole bunch of talent. And what was nice about Rogers, he didn't seem to be doing much, but his efforts on the ice, he's the player, I think, the closest you could see to Matt Snassel. And now, those consecutive seasons between New England and the Rangers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 straight seasons with 23 goals or more, and that's tremendous. NHL totals, point a game pace, 519 points, 202 goals in 484 games. WHA totals, 367 points, 145 goals, And again, the playoffs, NHL, 14 points in 17 games, including 1 goal, and WHA, 34 points in 46 games. Now, the idea is, why do people don't remember Mike Rogers? Well, sometimes in history, the top 20 players on the bottom set of the top 20 are sometimes forgotten. Mike Rogers was a top 20, top 15 player for the majority of seasons he played in the NHL in the early part of his career, and the WHA totals. Again, he was such a star in New England, everybody knew him, he was a household name. But what I think really, really hurt him, he wasn't playing with the strongest teams in the NHL, especially in the playoff run. Only in 82 that he had a chance to get the quarterfinal round. Anyway, but a talented player, very, very underrated. And I miss players like him because when Mike Rogers was no longer in the NHL, he was kind of missed because, can you imagine if he would stayed in Hartford in those years up until when Louis got what they call more talent. That 86 playoff run where he almost bet Montreal in the playoffs. They could have won the Stanley Cup and Rogers in the lineup. But, that's why hockey goes. Players move, and time doesn't stop for anybody. So that's the legend of Mike Rogers. Thanks for listening. Bye.